we want to honor not only Dr. King as we begin today, but our beloved local civil rights activist, Mrs. Isaac Lowe. I'm going to ask her family members, if they can, to come forward for just a moment in time. In fact, I'm hoping, is Isaac, her great-grandson, here? Is he here? There he is. Come on. He's going to be our bell ringer today. Don't be shy, family. Come on forward. Nobody take their seats while they come forward. Although there's seating up here in front. As they come forward, just a reminder that it was Isaac Lowe, Mrs. Isaac Lowe, that lobbied for 17 years. Come up here across the front. Right across the front. That lobbied to get the city of Reading, local municipalities, to recognize Martin Luther King Jr. Day. That happened in 1983. And it began here, granted the holiday in 2002. Isn't that an extraordinary thing, that we can gather here in freedom, respect for diversity, and her hard work brought us to this room. Isn't that wonderful? There's a beautiful picture of her, a beautiful person that she was, and that I would say she is. So in honor of her, I'm going to ask if it's possible for you to please stand. I'm going to invite you to close your eyes, and we're going to enter into a moment of silence together. And because she was so focused on community, we're going to join together by taking a long, slow, deep breath in. This day, we remember the life and work of Mrs. Isaac Lowe, a remarkable woman, civil rights activist, a woman dedicated to community, dedicated to family. We give thanks for her spirit, thanks for her work, and we honor her journey this day. I invite you to be seated. Thank you, family. As I mentioned before, Isaac Lowe, the great-grandson of Mrs. Isaac Lowe, will be ringing the bell today. It's a wonderful opportunity. We're going to hear from different community leaders, and I just want to pause for a moment and share a quote from Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., because I think it is what has brought us here. When the idea is a sound one, the cause a just one, and the demonstration a righteous one, change will be forthcoming. Powerful words. Our first speaker represents the Shasta County Multicultural Board, Doris Vaughn. Please come forward.
I'm a volunteer. I came on to volunteer at the center. I was not a member of the board, and probably I had worked there about 5 years before they said, or volunteered there, why don't you come on the board? And I resisted and said no, but they kept after me. And it's been one of the most wonderful experiences of my life. It has broadened my outlook. I come here, this is only the third time I have been here, but it's fun to come and see the same faces here, maybe ones that I haven't seen for a year. It's fun to see the diversity. It's wonderful to see this growing, and the board really thanks you for coming. And we made our program, and it has a lot of things in it that we, have lip service to, but sometimes we don't really think of them. our board always welcomes you, and I would bet some of you have never even been to the center. Come visit us sometime and see what's going on. And this program kind of tells you what it is, and you would always be welcome. And you certainly are welcome here, and we thank you for coming. I'm not a wordsmith.
So if you hear this sound for our speakers, then a big book comes out. We have next on our speakers list is from the Shasta County Citizens Advocating Respect, Susan Wilson. And behind her, I'll introduce Dawn Yost.
Thank you so much. It's great to see everybody here this morning. I happened to watch the movie Selma the other night, just to get ready for this, and one of the things that Martin Luther King said was, we all bear a responsibility for our fellow man. And I have to say, at the Shasta County Citizens Advocating Respect, we changed our name just for that reason. And I want to tell you just a few things that we do, because I think that we really epitomize some of those things that Martin Luther King held dear. We provide support and advocacy for victims of discrimination. Thank you, Tom O'Mara, for helping us with that. And Chief Paletti, I should say. We organize and participate in numerous community forums. We have one coming up. For those of you who don't know, we have a forum called Respectful Conversations on Homelessness. And that would be January 28th at 5:30 at the United Methodist Church. We work with law enforcement. We have a scholarship program called the Isaac Lowe Civil Rights and Social Justice Scholarship Program. And I want you to know, since 2009, we have given 9 scholarships totaling over $13,000. So yay for that. And we have 2 new scholarship recipients coming right now. We're active in the program Not in Our Town. That's a program that focuses on stopping hate, addressing bullying, and building safe and inclusive communities for all. So we find that our current effort is going to be around homelessness. We hope you will join us. We feel this is something that both Isaac Lowe and Martin Luther King would have taken to heart. Thank you.
In representation of the American Civil Liberties Union, we have the president, Dawn Yost, and behind him, Ricky Bennett.
I'd like to read several quotations from the Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King. The ultimate measure of a man is not where he stands in the moments of comfort and convenience, but where he stands at times of challenge and controversy. Our lives begin to end the day we become silent about things that matter. Life's most persistent and urgent question is, what are you doing for others? Injustice anywhere is a threat to justice everywhere. The time is always right to do what is right. The ultimate tragedy is not the oppression and cruelty by the bad people, but the silence over that by the good people. And the time is always right to do what is right. As chair of the local chapter of the American Civil Liberties Union, I feel we carry on Dr. King's fight for justice, especially for those who are among the weakest in our society. I would be remiss in not mentioning my friend Isaac Lowe, who passed away recently. I want to relate a little story to you. In 1988, my wife and I were delegates to the Democratic Party caucus in Chico, and we were looking to find persons to represent Jesse Jackson for the presidency and to go to the Democratic Party convention. And a number of very interesting people got up to talk, and we were, you know, oh, that person's pretty good, that person had some good points and so on. And then Isaac Lowe got up, and she talked about what it was like to be standing on a bus going across Texas holding babies in her arms. And in unity, everybody decided this is the person that we need to send to the Democratic Party National Convention. And I don't know how many people were here then, but Isaac wrote for the Record Searchlight, indicating what it was like at the convention. And she certainly has left a wonderful legacy. So, thank you.
Representing the Shasta County NAACP President Ricky Bennett. Must be running late. From the city of Reading, the mayor, I know she's here, Missy MacArthur. There she is.
First, I would like to thank the Lowe family for allowing me the privilege to speak at Mrs. Lowe's funeral the other day. It was very moving and touching, a very nice service. Martin Luther King believed in the power of peace and love. He also believed in nonviolence when standing up for what he believed in. So do I, and hopefully we can create a society modeled on these tenets. Nevertheless, in the words of Malcolm X, the future belongs to those who prepare for it. We all agree that Black lives matter. The next step is to agree that all lives matter. Since what we do today determines our future, it is today we must stand up for each other. It is today that we must reject any and all prejudice. We cannot allow the anti-Islam rhetoric of politicians and others to go unchallenged and corrupt our way of life. We must resist with all our might any societal attacks on diversity, be it race, faith, or culture. It is time to stand together against tyranny in any form. We can do it peacefully and with love in our hearts, or other ways. But our solidarity must be firm in our acceptance of diversity. It is the true future that our forefathers were banking on. On this day, we honor Martin Luther King. On this day, we vow to stand up for the principles he espoused.
Reading Police Department, Chief Robert Proletti.
I'm under a lot of pressure here this morning because I know that bell's from me. So, I sat down last night and I was talking to my kids when we were watching TV, and we were, obviously, they go to school so they know the history. But what I wanted them to recognize as they talked about Dr. Martin Luther King was the courage. The courage to be able to recognize something that's wrong and be able to have the courage to stand up and make it right. And we all have that courage. We just have to reach down deep inside and find it. Isaac had it in our community. And it's been a rough year in 2015 between my profession and minorities. We don't have to have that in our community, however. And we all have to have the courage to stand up, do something a little bit different. And like I said last year, extend a hand, introduce yourself, and get to know people, and have the courage to recognize what's inside them, not necessarily what you just see. I thank you all for coming this morning, and have a great day, and I'll see you next year.
Representing Reading Rancheria Tribal Government, the Tribal Chair, Jack Potter.
As we come together today to celebrate Dr. King's life and vision, each of us remembers something from Dr. King's all too short time on this earth. A line or two from I Have a Dream, his assassination, perhaps a scene from a march of civil rights protesters, black and white, hand in hand, Let us try to recall together that day in August of 1963. More than 50 years ago, Dr. King spoke to America in front of the Lincoln Memorial. It was the end of a march for hundreds of thousands, joining hands as they walked hundreds of miles to the nation's capital. One 82-year-old man bicycled 1,000 miles from Ohio, another from South Dakota. A younger man skated from Chicago. Buses arrived from the south at the rate of 100 per hour, the morning of the last day of the march. But it was the voice of one man, only 34 years old, who departed from his written speech to tell the nation of his dream. At that time, his words gave hope to many who had lost hope, to blacks across the South, to others across the country who had been denied justice and equal rights to schools and housing. To my family here in Redding, Dr. King's speech came only 2 years after the federal government had wrongfully terminated our reservation. The federal government in 1961 had told my family, "You are no longer Indian. The government will no longer keep the promises that we made to you." At a difficult time for my family, Dr. King's speech was a message of hope. He told the nation of his dream, of a future of racial equality and freedom for the oppressed. And so Dr. King's dream became a dream for many millions across this country who had been denied justice and equality. As we gather today to look back over the 50 years since the dream speech, many of us can see a path that we or our parents followed. Today, this nation offers more equality, more justice than it did 50 years ago. And yet, Dr. King's dream remains only a dream for many. Dr. King's dream was a vision for the future, not just for the 1960s, but for all time. When Dr. King spoke at the nation's capital, he spoke not only for black people, he spoke for people of all races. He spoke not only for voting rights, political justice, and desegregating schools, he also spoke for economic justice. He spoke of presenting to the government in Washington a check which had not been honored. Today, let us not only remember Dr. King's dream, let us ask ourselves what Dr. King would say if he arrived among us today. Have we helped to make the dream come true? What can we do here in Redding to make the future a better world for all of us? Thank you.
The Vice Mayor of City of Anderson, Aaron Browning.
A little short for me. By the way, in the pamphlet it says I'm Melissa Hunt. Clearly I'm not. I am honored to be here today to pay tribute to Dr. King and his contribution to our country. I look at all the lives that he has touched by him standing up over 50 years ago. I think his legacy reaches far beyond standing up for African Americans' rights. I think he made us look at the way we treat all lives. Like the way we treat the veterans that return home from Vietnam, the way we treated the mentally ill or the disabled, or the homeless person wanting help, or the drug addict needing treatment. I know we have a long way to go, and I pray we continue to honor Dr. King by treating all Americans equally. Thank you.
Anderson Police Department, Chief Michael Johnson.
Thank you. It's an honor to be here today speaking on behalf of the Anderson Police Department and the City of Anderson. Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. strived to move this nation to what he called a beloved community, where trust and power and hope all would come together for synergistic ideas. And in his movement, he hoped that the nation could come together. And here we stand decades later as a community, as nations. And although we've made good strides towards that goal, we're far from achieving that harmony. And I was reading some of Dr. King's speeches and sermons and so forth, as I know a lot of people have during this great time. And there's one that stuck out to me, and this is a quote he said in his 1954 in the first known sermon by Dr. King. He said, "Through our scientific genius, we've made of the world a neighborhood, but through our moral and spiritual genius, we have failed to make it a brotherhood." And I think that is a very powerful statement that still holds true today. It's easy to embrace the words of great leaders and ideas and values that are spoken. Words are easy to speak. It's very much another thing for us all to come together and act. And I think Dr. King's message to everybody consistently and persistently, he pursued that unity and harmony in the nation. And it's very, very evident today that through the social tensions and racial biases that still go on today, that we haven't gotten there. And I don't know if we'll ever fully get there, but we can't do it unless communities like ourselves come together and lead the way. And eventually all those communities can link up, and hopefully the nation can get there at one point or another. So I urge you, Shasta County, as a community, not just as a city here and a city there and a city there in a rural area, but as a Shasta County community, to act on behalf of the greater good without racial bias, without regard to gender or sexual preference or culture or anything else. Act for the greater good of the community. Come together and we can start achieving harmony. Thank you.
Representing the city of Shasta Lake, the mayor, Lori Chapman Cipher. She must be running late also. So, the executive director from Local Indians for Education, Rod Lindsay.
Good morning. On my ride here this morning, I was thinking about everybody who was traveling down the roadway and where they were heading, where they were going, what they were going to be doing. I knew where I was going, and I knew what I had to do today. Start off this beautiful morning. Start off, first of all, at home at about 6 o'clock with a prayer, thanking the Creator for this great day, thanking Him for the break in the rain. Didn't want to be greedy. I know it's going to be happening, and we need the rain. But I was also thinking about the last 48 years that I've lived in this community and how blessed I am and how thankful I am to be in this room with all of these folks who have helped me through these 48 years. Some of you, most of you probably are a lot younger than me or close to my age. But there are some in here who are from generations of people who have helped me, some of our elders who have passed on. One comes to mind, grandfather Jack Potter, good friend, my mentor, Willard Rhodes, He would ask me, who are you and where do you come from? And I'd say, well, my name is so-and-so and I was born in San Francisco. That's not it, he said. Where are you and who are you? Where do you come from? I said, Machuxas, Miyowe. My name is Rod Lindsay Stanley, and I am from the Tuolumne Reservation. I am Indian. That's what he wanted to know. That's what I get from these two folks, Dr. King, Isaac Lowe, the spirit of the world. They have taught me and helped me to be able to be a good man, not perfect,